I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.
Hello everybody, Dave here for a series I haven't named yet, and the only name that's coming to head is Dave Gets Shafted, but it's nothing dodgy, honest. He says blowing up a latex glove. How do I explain it? I don't know if I can explain it, but I'll show you. Okay, so Dave Gets Shafted because this is a golf club, and what I intend to do is, in the end, clean up the head, basically where all this sort of black or grey has been peeling off, and take it all off, get it all nice and shiny, clean up the face, re-groove the grooves. I may come to painting them at some point, but I need to learn how to clean the heads up. Before I attack this one, I may attack one that's in much worse condition from a scrap club that I can practice on basically. But what I'm going to be starting here is changing this, the grip that's on the shaft. Now you may be wondering why. Well, these grips are old and they're slippy, and I'd like to know how to change them. Now I've seen how to change them, so I'm going to try and change them. And I should have everything I need except for one particular tool. It's recommended you use a vise. I'm not going to use a vise because I haven't got one. I may get one at some point, but I haven't got one at the moment. So, in the pack that I've bought, where I've got 13 grips, they're like this, looking cool. I went with these because they looked pretty good. It's a make I've heard of, but also the markers for lining up on the shaft. So I've got 13 of these, and I think I've only really got about 9 to do, so I've got a couple spares. So we're going to be applying these. So in the kit comes 13 of these. We've got some glue strips. These go onto the shaft before we put the grip on. Got a knife, and my alarm is going off. That's to wake me up from the nap that I had, but it wasn't a nap, it was like a 4-hour sleep. Bear with me a second. Okay, so I've got a Stanley knife, but it's not a Stanley knife. Even if you're thinking, well, it's just a cheap version of a Stanley knife. No, it's not. It has a different blade. It has a hooked blade on it. I haven't opened this up to see if there's spares inside. But if I do happen to damage this, I could potentially use another knife that I've got from my carving set that I struggle to use. So this will be handy for getting the grip off, obviously. We have some grip tape solution, which this will go onto the tape. Now it says to spray it on and then apply. I get a feeling that something that they've not sort of got in this is, I don't think this is a spray bottle. I think they're just expecting you to have a spray bottle, but anyway. And we then have this, which is a vice cushion. So basically this will go around the shaft. If I can get it on. I'm putting it on at the narrowest point, and then I can move it up So we have the vice grip. I'll move it up to about there. Maybe down a bit actually. Okay, so that is what would go in the vice. I don't have a vice, so what I'm going to do instead is show this. Knocking everything over. So what I'm going to do is clamp it to the table. Now there's a couple of things I've got to do here. One is make sure I don't clamp this too tight, but it needs to be tight enough that it ain't going to move. But also I want to clamp it with the club head facing straight up. So on the grip, not that you see it on the grip here where it says Howson, that's its centre line marker. So that also wants to be heading straight up. Now, reasons I want to do that is so that when it comes to me reapplying the grip, I will be trying to line all that up. Now, I may find as I go to do this that I have some issues like space. Because I need the grip to come off the end of the table. Also may have an issue clamping this. Let's find it. Okay, so we'll have to be turned a bit, I think. Now, one of the things I have done here is the club that I've chosen to try this on. See if we can get a longer. Yeah, the club that I've chosen to try this on is a club that if I was to play I probably would never use. So rather than using a scrap club, I am actually using one that could potentially be used. I'm not sure about how secure that is. Well, we can try. I'm going to loosen it off a little bit though, and so that I can turn the club a little more. Now what I'm trying to do, because the club head is curved, I'm actually going on these two red lines, trying to get them sort of 90 degree angle. So I would say that looks about right. Okay, so first things first, let's move the table. We may end up having to move it again at some point, but I'm not planning on going downstairs again today. So first things first is to take off the old grip, and when we do that, I mean we're cutting it, we're basically throwing it away. Underneath that is an old one of these, which is going to need to be cleaned off. Now, on the videos that I was watching, I mean, I watched a couple, and I wouldn't say that they used what I'm going to use. One used a bit of heat to try and loosen up the glue a bit. Another was just scraping it, didn't take it all off, just sort of took the bigger chunks off. I'm going to use rubbing alcohol, so I'm going to use a cleaner basically and just try and get it all off that way. Now, as we saw, the knife went through this nice and easy. Now, whether it will come off nice and easy is another question, and I'm hoping it will come off like this. And I tell you what, that shaft's pretty clean. Oh. What the? Oh, okay, it's a chunk of glue. I would guess that was stuffed in the end. Which, when I apply the grip tape, I mean, to be fair, when these were applied, it may have been done in a very different way. You know what, there is grip tape in there. Yeah, so there is tape in there. And one of the things that is on the instruction to do is, once the grip tape has been applied to this, it should overhang, and then before we put the grip on, we're actually going to poke it into the end, give it a quick jiggly poke at it, and then yeah, that'll help. Okay, so if we quickly look then at the quality of the grips. Now, the new grips they're a touch longer, but I don't mind that. I have no issue with that. But I mean, this grip, to be fair, is probably in better condition than the rest of the ones from this set, because it's a club that's not used very often. It's a 3-iron. So things like the 6, 7, 8, 9 iron and the wedge, the grip is very worn down, so it's very slippy, and if you're hitting a golf ball, that won't be very useful. Okay, so that scrappy molle. So now we can't just go and wang this back on the pole, can we? We can't just go and wang this on the shaft. Now, I will admit, this sticky label that is here, I am going to take that off. I'm not going to do that now, because right at this moment, my only focus is, let's try doing a re-grip on the handle. Once we've done that, then I know if I'm going to have issues with the re-gripping. Things like, am I going to have a problem with this adhesive? Do I need some kind of little spray bottle? And yeah, come on, see if there's any issues that I'm going to have. Also as well, like, am I going to be better off waiting until I have got a vise that may be able to grip that a bit better than the clamp that I'm using? Okay, so like I said, this one, to be honest, is fairly clean because the grip tape came off on the shaft, no, on the grip. Whereas on the videos that I'd seen, they were still mainly stuck to this. So I'm just going to give this a bit of a clean. Basically, the only bit that's sort of a bit dirty is where the grip ended. Right, so we're going to let that dry. Now, one of the things it says in the instructions to do is get new grip, position it. I don't know why, I just held it there and then went all the way around to hold it there again. Right, and I know you're a bit far away from this, but I might try. If I put it on the table, then I shake the table and this camera's going to shake it again. Right, so one of the things to do is we line up the new grip, and we make a mark on the shaft so that we know how far down the grip needs to get to have been applied full length. So I'm going to make a mark that I'm actually going to need to, yeah, I'll make a mark there. Okay, so doesn't take long for an alcohol rub to dry. I'm surprised at how clean that is actually. I was expecting a load of graft to get that off. Okay, so now we're on to the grip tape. Which is made in two parts. this one part, but there's a split down it. So when we come to apply this, we want it to overhang about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so let me just check the instructions, because I'm pretty sure on the instructions it showed a picture with the split on this being straight down the middle. It's slightly off centre, so I just want to see which side I've read it right, which side it wants to go on first. Okay, so yeah, it's just showing 2 big holes. Okay. In that case then, right, for this bit I'm going to need to sort of get around there, I reckon. Alright, this is the one. Let's see what we've got with this. Yeah, so there is no squirty bottle with that. Unless, what's under it? No, it's just a nozzle. I've had an idea though. Okay, so that's ready, that's ready, that's ready. We're all ready, apart from one more thing. So I'm going to do 2 video. Right, I'm just going to upload these video clips to my computer, and then I've got a little bit more time to do this. Okay, we're back. Right, so the sneaky little plan I've had is I'm going to try and just use one of these straight into the bottle. If it don't work, I'm going to have to find a little spray bottle somewhere. Now I've taken this out of just a water bottle, and I've emptied it as best as I can. So we'll see how we get on with that. Okay, so and calm. As I mentioned, what we need to do is take off one of these sides, apply it to the shaft. Am I going to be? I think I'll be better coming from underneath. I'll try and line it up. We'll go 1/4 of an inch longer. What I do is get that cloth in a sec. What I don't want to do is end up with air bubbles. Okay, so take that off. Need to remember that it is sticky. I'm hoping that we're good. Okay, now I'll take this off. So we are now technically ready just in case. So I just want to hold there so I'm not creating a pressure point, even though there is a hole in the top of the grip. Okay, now I need to spray glue on it, which, having thought about it, I probably could have set up a little better. Because I'm not going to be able to hold that and this and that. Okay, it's covered. So now I don't mind if it gets on the carpet, unless it's going to stick the carpet to the floor. It is a glue. Okay, so pop that back on there. I mean, maybe I'd have been better off thinking about it. I might have been better off just dripping it all the way along and letting it soak around. I might try that on the next one. Okay, so now we need to try and get this on. Make sure that it's, yeah, it's good now. Now, as to how much I should use, I've no idea. Oh wow, okay, that may have been too much. Right, now we need to try and get it on. Oh wow, I've got it everywhere. Okay, this may not be the best job to do indoors. I mean, it's not toxic, but if I'm going to glue my mat to my floor, it ain't going to work. Or glue my testicles to the seat, that ain't going to work either. Alright, so this is where we're now going to need to use a bit of force, and I need to hope that the clamp can live up to it. I'm trying to hook my leg around the table so it can't move away. I don't know if this solution is a glue as well. If it is, I may be in trouble. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now, one thing I will say is the grips appear to be stretchy. We've still got some way to go. You can't see, can you? Let's see if we can. Oh, okay, I don't want to move that. Oh, okay, it was working better when I was sat here. Okay, still got about an inch and a bit to go. And we're nowhere near lined up. Nearly there. That feels like that may be right at the end, but it isn't unless we've not stretched this out fully. So let's give it a bit of a twist push. Give it a bit of a twist push all the way down. And we are at the tape, sorry, we're at the marker. Okay. It's looking fairly straight. Okay. Let's do a bit of clean up if we can. And one of the things I'll be able to find out as well, because I've got quite a bit of this solution on these papers, I'll be able to find out if that's going to become glue. Because if it is, then I'll have stuck my rug to the floor. And no, that's not a euphemism. Well, that is on. Okay. Now, it takes a couple of hours to dry. Alexa, stop. That's an alarm going telling me that okay, so it's not gone through the rubber mat, which is fine, which is good. Yeah, I've got stuff to do this evening. Oh, I just thought there was one other thing it would suggest to do on the instruction. Gently tap the club on the ground to make sure any solution is removed. Okay, so the grip is still intact, the vice grip. So just quickly check the alignment. Okay, we're off a little bit. That's better. I'm happy with that. Okay, so it says tap the club on the ground to make sure there's no excess in the end. Obviously it means the other end. Also, it might be a handy way of just making sure that we are all the way on. Well, as a first re-gripping attempt, I'm happy with that. Depending on how it ends up when it's dry. The only other question, because obviously what I don't want is for it to come flying off. The only question then is this particular grip comfortable in the hand? I've no idea. We'll find out once it's dried up. Because that was one of the issues when it come to looking for getting replacement grips. I didn't really know which ones to go for, and some of them looked like okay, so that the old one I've taken off is very much like it's an old rubber. It's thick and solid. This is a very stretchy, more pliable, I was going to say like a polyurethane, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's not quite like rubber. It's a bit like it, but it's not like it. But some of them look like they were woven, and I wasn't keen on trying those. Although the patterns looked interesting, but in the end I went for these because, as I said, it's a make I've heard of, but also the design of the handle is designed so that when you are holding your club, you're using this X to line up where your fingers and hands go. So like you're holding the hand like so, and if it had been a left hand club, it'd be the other X. But also this line up here is for where you're going to put your palm. It's just a nice, and then thumb on the logo. It's a nice, there we go. So anyway, right, so this now needs leaving to dry. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, have a good one everybody, and we'll see what happens on the next episode of Dave Gets Shafted.